Welcome back, friend. However your day went, full, tiring, ordinary, or good, you've made it here to this quiet moment, and that matters. Wherever you are right now, whatever is still turning over in your mind, you're safe here. There's nothing you need to fix, explain, or prepare before we begin. Just let your shoulders drop a little. Let your breathing slow. So before we begin, take a slow breath in and let it out longer than it came in. Because in the next few minutes, something inside you is going to settle. Let's pray, and let's not wait to get there. Tonight we're going to pray through one of the most comforting passages in all of Scripture, Psalm 23. If you've heard it before, let it wash over you again. And if you haven't, just receive it now, because these are words written for exactly this moment. For a tired soul, ready to rest. Psalm 23 begins like this: "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Not, I have everything I've asked for, but I lack nothing I truly need." That's the kind of rest we're stepping into tonight. The psalm continues, "He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters." Notice that word. He makes you lie down. Sometimes rest isn't something we arrange for ourselves. It's something we have to be led into, especially on nights when your mind wants to keep working long after your body is ready to stop. That's what's happening right now, in this very moment. You're being led, gently, toward stillness. He restores my soul, the psalm says next. Not just your energy, your soul. The quiet, tired part of you that doesn't get touched by a nap or a weekend off. That part gets restored by presence, not by rest alone. Then comes one of the most quoted lines in Scripture. "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." Whatever shadow crossed your day, a hard conversation, a worry, a memory that resurfaced uninvited, you did not walk through it alone. This psalm has comforted people in far darker valleys than yours tonight, and it holds true for you too. And Psalm 23 closes with a promise. "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Not just today, forever. That's how far his leading goes. So here is the first thing to release tonight: the need to have everything under control. You don't have to shepherd yourself through this life. Whatever you've been holding tightly, a schedule, a relationship, a body that isn't cooperating the way you want it to, you can loosen your grip. Not because it stops mattering, but because the shepherd of Psalm 23 is already leading it. But gratitude is only the beginning, because there is something else he wants to give you tonight, something your heart has been quietly longing for. Lord, thank you for this day, for what it gave and what it taught. Thank you for bringing me to this quiet moment, for the breath in my lungs right now, for the bed beneath me, for a roof over my head. These are not small things. They are your provision, quietly given, whether I notice them today or not. There's a kind of gratitude that comes easiest at the end of the day. Not the loud, excited kind, but the soft kind that simply says, "Thank you for walking through today with me." That's the gratitude I bring you now. And with that gratitude comes a promise from Psalm 4, one of the oldest bedtime prayers in Scripture. It says, I will lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Not because every worry is gone, simply because safety was never about circumstances. It was always about who's holding you. So here's the second thing to release. Tonight, I let go of tomorrow. Maybe it's something specific. A meeting, a decision, a conversation you're not quite ready for. Or maybe it's nothing you could even name, just that familiar hum of what's next. What's next? Either way, it's been quietly running in the background since before you even lay down. Matthew 6 tells us not to worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Today has enough of its own. That's not God brushing off your concerns. It's God drawing a gentle line. Tonight is not tomorrow's to touch. Tomorrow can wait outside the door of this hour. Tonight belongs to rest. So breathe out and let it go. Not because everything is resolved, but because it isn't yours to carry at this hour. Let the Lord hold what comes next, while you hold nothing at all. Think for a moment about the last time you looked up at a night sky full of stars. Maybe it was recently. Maybe it's been years. There's something about that vastness that makes our worries feel smaller. Not because they stop mattering, but because we remember for a moment that we're not the ones holding everything together. That's exactly where the next psalm begins. Psalm 121 opens with these words, I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. The psalmist is looking up, searching the horizon, asking the same question you may have asked more than once today. Where is my help going to come from? And the answer isn't a strategy or a plan. The answer is a person. The one who made the hills you're looking at, and the sky above them, and you. Psalm 121 keeps going, and it gets even more personal. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Think about that for a second. Whatever kept you up last night, whatever kept your mind spinning through some worry, he was awake. Not because he needed to catch up on sleep debt like we do, but because watching over you was never a burden to him. He who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. There's a reason this psalm was sung, historically, by travelers heading up toward Jerusalem. People walking real dusty roads, worried about bandits, injury, losing their way in unfamiliar territory. It was a psalm for people in motion, uncertain of what the road ahead might hold. Maybe that's not so different from you tonight, even lying still. Your road might be a diagnosis you're waiting on, a relationship you don't know how to fix, a season that feels longer than you expected. Wherever your road runs, this psalm was written for people walking roads like yours. The psalm continues, The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Shade wasn't a luxury in the ancient world. It was survival, protection from something that could genuinely harm you. That's the kind of care being described here. Not distant concern, active shelter. And Psalm 121 ends with a promise that stretches far beyond tonight. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Every departure, every return, every version of you that existed before tonight, and every version still to come, kept all the way through. So here is the third thing to release: the exhausting work of watching over everything yourself. Maybe you've been the one everyone else leans on. The one who has to notice when something's wrong before anyone else does. The one who can't quite relax until every detail is accounted for. Tonight, Psalm 121 is inviting you to hand that watch over. Not because vigilance was wrong, but because you were never meant to carry it alone. And certainly not while you're trying to sleep. Somebody else is already keeping watch. And unlike you, he never has to close his eyes to rest. Let your eyes close now, the way his never do. Let your guard down, the way his never has to. That's not carelessness, that's trust. Can you remember the last time you felt truly safe? Not just physically fine, but that deep, settled kind of safe, where your mind finally stopped scanning for what might go wrong next. If it's been a while, Psalm 91 was written for exactly this moment. It opens like this: He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. Notice the word dwells, not visits, not stops by occasionally. Dwelling means staying, making a home there. And that home comes with a shadow over it, the kind that shields you from the heat of a long day. The psalm continues with words so personal, they almost sound like a whispered promise. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. 3 words for the same truth, stacked one on top of the other. Refuge, fortress, trust. As if one word wasn't enough to capture how completely covered you are, Psalm 91 goes further still. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge. That's a strange, tender image. Feathers and wings, something soft wrapped around something that needed shelter. Think of how a bird gathers its young close before a storm. That's the posture being described over you right now, tonight, in this room. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day. This psalm doesn't pretend the night is free of things worth fearing. It simply says fear doesn't get the final word when you're dwelling in that shelter. Whatever kept you a little on edge tonight, a headline you saw, a worry about someone you love, an old fear that resurfaces in the quiet, this psalm meets it directly and answers it directly. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways, not eventually, not only in emergencies, in all your ways, the small ordinary ones too, the drive home, the decision you made this afternoon, the conversation you're still turning over. And Psalm 91 ends with God speaking in the first person, a promise straight from his own mouth. Because he holds fast to me in love, I will deliver him. I will protect him, because he knows my name. When he calls to me, I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. Read that last part again. I will be with him in trouble. Not instead of trouble, within it, beside it. That's the kind of safety this psalm offers. Not the absence of every hard thing, but the presence of God inside it. So here is the 4th thing to release: the fear that you are facing anything alone. Whatever kept a small, watchful part of you on guard tonight, that quiet unease that never fully turns off, let Psalm 91 answer it directly. You are dwelling under a shelter tonight, whether you feel it or not. Under a shadow, under wings, under a promise spoken by God himself. And now that you've begun laying these things down, control tomorrow, the weight of watching everything, the fear of facing it alone, there is a little more we need to bring before Him. Not everything has been said yet. So let's go a little deeper into the heart of tonight's prayer. Some days feel like standing on solid ground. Other days feel like the ground itself is shifting. A piece of news you weren't ready for. A plan that fell apart. A relationship that suddenly feels uncertain. If today was one of those shifting ground days, or if you're simply tired from bracing for the next one, Psalm 46 was written for you. It opens with a declaration, not a request. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble, not a distant help, not a help that arrives eventually, once you've proven you can't manage on your own. A present help, already here, already in the room with you. Psalm 46 continues, and it does something bold. It names the worst-case scenario directly. Therefore we will not fear though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea. Think about that image for a moment. The very things we consider unshakable, the earth beneath us, the mountains on the horizon, giving way completely. The psalm doesn't deny that such things can happen. It simply says fear doesn't have to be the response, because the ground was never truly what was holding you up. Then the psalm shifts, almost like a breath being let out slowly. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God. After the shaking, the roaring waters, the trembling mountains, a river. Calm, steady, life-giving. Right in the middle of everything that could go wrong, there's this quiet current of God's presence, gladdening, steadying, flowing on regardless of what's collapsing around it. And here's the verse this psalm is best known for, the one worth slowing all the way down for. Be still and know that I am God. Not do more, not figure it out. Be still. Let your hands stop moving for a moment. Let your mind stop calculating. Stillness isn't giving up. It's making room to actually know, not just believe intellectually, but know. The way you know something is true because you felt it, that God is God, and you are not required to be. Psalm 46 closes with a repeated promise, spoken twice for emphasis. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Twice. As if to say, in case you didn't catch it the first time, in case your mind wandered while I was saying it, here it is again. With us, a fortress. So here's the fifth thing to release, the fear that things might fall apart. Maybe nothing dramatic happened today. Maybe it's just the low background hum of what if things don't hold together. Your health, your finances, your family, your own sense of who you are. Psalm 46 doesn't ask you to pretend the ground can't shake. It simply asks you to remember that you are never standing on the ground alone. There's a river running beneath everything, steady, whether you can feel it moving or not. Be still for a moment now. Not because everything is resolved, simply because stillness is where you finally get to know, instead of only hope, that He is near. There are two ways to reach the end of a hard day. One way is clenched, replaying what went wrong, rehearsing what you should have said, carrying the weight of it into your sleep. The other way is open-handed, tired, maybe, but able to set it down. Psalm 34 was written by someone who knew exactly how far apart those two ways really are, because he wrote it after pretending to be insane to escape capture from an enemy king. Not a peaceful season. And yet, here's how the psalm begins. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth at all times. Not only on the good days, not only when life feels steady. The writer of this psalm learned to bring praise even out of a season of fear, because he discovered something that made it possible. I sought the Lord, and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears. Notice the order there. He sought first, and the deliverance from fear came after, not before. Peace wasn't something he waited to feel before turning to God. He turned toward God, and the fear began to loosen its grip as a result. That's often how it works. Not feel calm, then pray, but pray, and calm begins to come. Psalm 34 continues with a promise many people know without realizing where it comes from. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. Encamps, like a protective ring set up around you, not just passing by occasionally to check in. Then comes an invitation, almost gentle in tone after everything that came before. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. Taste and see. Not just hear about it secondhand. Not just believe it as a fact somebody told you once, but actually experience it for yourself. Tonight is an invitation to taste that goodness directly, not just to know it exists. And here's where Psalm 34 speaks straight to whatever weighed on you today. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. All of them, not a select few, not only the troubles that seem significant enough to bring before God. All of them, from the ones that kept you up worrying to the ones you're almost embarrassed to admit still bother you. The psalm closes with one of its most tender lines. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Near, not eventually arriving once you've pulled yourself together, but near to you exactly as you are right now, however put together or worn down that happens to be. So here is the sixth thing to release. Whatever today left unresolved in you, the sting of a hard word, the ache of a disappointment, the quiet grief of something not going the way you hoped. You don't have to carry that into tomorrow clenched. You can set it down open-handed, the way the writer of this psalm did in the middle of his own fear, and discover that praise and honesty were never opposites. Taste this goodness for yourself tonight. Let it be near to whatever in you still feels a little bit broken. There's a particular kind of fear that doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't arrive as panic. It shows up quieter than that, in the tightness behind your eyes at the end of a long day, in the thoughts that circle back no matter how many times you try to set them down. If that quiet kind of fear has been sitting with you tonight, stay close for this next psalm, because it was written by someone who named that fear directly and refused to let it have the final word. Psalm 27 opens with a question wrapped inside a declaration. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Notice that the writer doesn't pretend fear isn't real. He simply asks it a question it cannot answer. Whom shall I fear when the very source of light in my life is God Himself? Darkness cannot argue with light. It can only leave when light enters the room. The psalm continues, and it becomes strikingly personal. One thing have I asked of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in His temple. Just one thing, not 10 requests, not a long list of everything that needs fixing. One thing, to stay near him. Everything else, the psalm suggests, tends to sort itself out from that nearness. Then comes a promise many people cling to in their hardest seasons. For he will hide me in his shelter in the day of trouble. He will conceal me under the cover of his tent. He will lift me high upon a rock. Notice the progression. Hidden, concealed, and then lifted. First protected in the danger, and then raised above it entirely. That is not a small promise. That is a complete rescue, described in 3 movements. Psalm 27 goes further still, and it names a fear far bigger than the ordinary worries of a single day. Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war arise against me, yet I will be confident. Think about the scale of that image. Not a single threat, but an entire army. Not a small conflict, but war itself. And still, the writer says, my heart shall not fear. Not because the danger wasn't real, because the light standing beside him was more real. Maybe nothing in your life looks like an army or a war, but maybe it still feels that large to you tonight. A diagnosis you weren't ready for, a financial pressure that seems to come from every direction at once, a relationship that feels like it's under a kind of siege. Whatever surrounds you tonight, this psalm was written for people who felt surrounded too, and it still holds. And here is the verse this psalm is remembered for, the one worth carrying with you the rest of your life. Wait for the Lord. Be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. Waiting is repeated twice here, like a hand placed gently on your shoulder, said once, and then said again, because the first time might not have landed. Waiting is not giving up. Waiting is trusting that the light hasn't gone out. Even on the nights it feels far away, there is a companion truth that echoes the same invitation, written centuries later by a man writing from a prison cell in his letter to the Philippians. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. Notice that word, guard. Not simply comfort your heart for a moment, but stand watch over it, the way a soldier guards a gate, so that whatever is trying to get back in, the worry, the restlessness, the fear that circles back no matter how many times you set it down, finds the door already held. This same truth is echoed once more in Psalm 62, a psalm written by someone who tried to find peace in 100 different places before discovering where it actually lived. For God alone, my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. Not God, plus a backup plan. Not God plus enough certainty about tomorrow. God alone. That was not a poetic exaggeration. It was a conclusion reached only after searching everywhere else first. He only is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be greatly shaken, not never shaken, not greatly shaken. You are allowed to feel the tremor of a hard day without it toppling everything underneath you. That is what a rock does. It does not stop the wind. It stops the wind from being the thing that ends you. Trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Pour out your heart. Not the edited version. Not the version you would say if someone else were listening. The real one. Tired, uncertain, maybe worn thin in places you have not told anyone about. That is the version this moment invites you to bring. Psalm 62 goes on to say something almost startling in its honesty. Those of low estate are but a breath. Those of high estate are a delusion. In the balances they go up. They are together lighter than a breath. Whatever you measured yourself against today, whether you felt like you fell short of something or came out ahead of someone else, the psalm gently levels it. All of it. Every comparison, every measurement weighs less than a single breath. What actually holds weight is not status or achievement. It is nearness to Him. So here is the seventh thing to release tonight, and it may be the heaviest one yet. The fear that has been quietly running underneath everything else today, whether you could name it or not. Maybe it is fear of what tomorrow holds. Maybe it is fear that you are not enough, or that something you love could be taken from you, or simply the low, constant hum of not feeling fully safe in your own life. Psalm 27 does not ask you to pretend that fear is not real. It only asks you to remember who is standing in the room with you while you feel it. Light does not have to argue with darkness. It only has to enter. Think for a moment about how much of today was spent managing that low hum without even noticing it. The extra caution in a conversation. The bracing before checking a message. The quiet vigilance that never fully switches off, even in moments that were otherwise good. That vigilance is exhausting in a way that has nothing to do with physical tiredness. It is the tiredness of a soul that has been standing guard for far too long, waiting for the next threat that may never even come. Tonight, you are invited to stand down from that post. Not because nothing will ever go wrong again, because someone else has already taken the watch, and He does not grow weary the way you do. The same God who told the writer of Psalm 27 not to fear an army is not intimidated by whatever has been quietly frightening you. The same God who guarded Paul's heart in a prison cell can guard yours in this ordinary, unremarkable room. The same God who was enough for the writer of Psalm 62, after he had tried everything else first, is enough for you now, exactly as you are, exactly where you are. Wait for the Lord tonight. Be strong, and let your heart take courage. Pour out whatever is left in you, exactly as it is. He is a refuge for you, right now, in this room, exactly as you are. And now that you have laid it all down before Him, there is one last thing left to do, the most important of all. Just rest. There's a small psalm, only a few lines long, that says this better than almost anything else in Scripture. Psalm 131. It's short, the way a lullaby is short. Let it settle over you slowly, one line at a time. O Lord, my heart is not lifted up. My eyes are not raised too high. No striving left tonight. No reaching for anything. No trying to be more. Do more. Carry more. Just stillness. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. Not even to you. I do not occupy myself with things too great and too marvelous for me. You don't have to solve it tonight. Not the thing you've been turning over all week. Not the conversation you keep replaying. Not the decision still waiting on the other side of tomorrow. Let it stay unsolved for now. That's allowed. Some things were never meant to be carried into sleep. Here is the heart of the psalm, the image it's remembered for, the one worth holding on to long after tonight. But I have calmed and quieted my soul, like a weaned child with its mother. Like a weaned child is my soul within me. Picture that for a moment. A child who is done nursing, done needing anything in particular, simply resting against the one who loves it, not asking for something, not reaching for something, just present, held, and at peace with being held. That's you, right now. You don't have to ask for anything else tonight. You don't have to understand everything before you're allowed to rest. You are simply resting against him, the way a child rests without needing a reason. There's another verse from Psalm 116 that echoes this same quiet invitation. Return to your rest, O my soul, for the Lord has dealt bountifully with you. Return, as if rest is a place you already know, a place you've been before, and all that's left is to go back to it. Not a new skill to learn tonight, just a return. Let your breathing slow a little more. Let your shoulders soften into wherever you're lying. Let your thoughts, one by one, stop reaching for tomorrow and settle into this room, this bed, this exact moment. The psalm ends so simply. O Israel, hope in the Lord, from this time forth and forevermore. Hope doesn't have to be loud tonight. Sometimes hope is quiet. Sometimes hope is just closing your eyes and trusting that morning will come, and he will still be there when it does, the same as he is here now. So here is the last thing to release tonight. The final one. The need to hold on to anything at all. You've laid down control. Tomorrow. The weight of watching over everything and everyone. The fear of facing hard things alone. The fear that what feels shaky might fall apart completely. Whatever today left unfinished in you. The exhausting search for a peace that only ever lived in him. And now, finally this. The need to hold on to anything at all. Even the good things. Even the things you love. With a grip so tight it leaves no room for rest. Let your hands open now. Let them stay open. Empty is not the same as losing something. Tonight, empty simply means ready to receive whatever he wants to place there instead. Usually nothing more complicated than peace. You don't have to do anything else tonight. You are already exactly where you need to be. Moon, 147 palavras. A 142 WPM, projeção de BA 805 contra os 4,42 antigos, ganho de 3,23. Total atualizado, 42,44, BAS 3,23, ACAS 46,7, dentro da meta de 45,50 mini. Aqui está o bloco 8 final revisado, pronto para narração. Bloco 8 revisado, com bênção sacerdotal expandida. Ato correspondente. Fecho de 40-10-0-50 CA. Surrender Blessing. Conteúdo. Salmo 3, plus, bênção sacerdotal, número 62426, plus, acomodação para o sono, plus, CTA, plus, gancho, 1147 palavras, projeção, paz. There's one more psalm, just one, before we close tonight. A short one. Written by David, fleeing his own son, surrounded on every side by people who wished him harm, sleeping outdoors with no walls between him and whatever the night might bring. If anyone had a reason to lie awake, it was him. And yet, here is what he wrote, right in the middle of it. Psalm 3. I lay down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. That's it. That's the whole verse. No explanation of how the danger resolved. No promise that the threat disappeared overnight. Just, I lay down and slept. In the middle of everything wrong, he slept. Because sleep was never about everything being fine. It was about who was keeping watch while his eyes were closed. Maybe nothing around you tonight looks like what surrounded him, but maybe something still feels unresolved. A worry you couldn't quite name earlier. A person, a decision, a piece of news still sitting somewhere in your chest. It doesn't have to be solved for you to lay down and sleep tonight. It only has to be placed in hands stronger than yours. David didn't wait for peace outside himself before he rested. He rested and let peace be the thing that met him there. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. Not, I woke because nothing happened. I woke because he held me through the night, whatever the night contained. That's the promise you carry with you now, into sleep. So let's close the way we opened. Quietly. You came here tonight carrying something. Maybe you could name it right away. Maybe it took the whole prayer to even find the words for it. And one by one you set it down. Control. Tomorrow. The weight of watching over everyone and everything. The fear of walking through hard things alone. The fear that what feels shaky might fall apart completely. Whatever today left unfinished in you. The search for a peace that only ever lived in him. And finally, the need to hold on to anything at all. 8 things, laid down one at a time. The way you might empty your pockets before finally sitting down at the end of a long day. Not because any of it stopped mattering. Simply because you were never meant to carry all of it while you slept. Your hands are empty now. That's not loss. That's rest. Before we part, receive this blessing over you tonight. Words spoken over God's people for thousands of years, meant just as much for you now as they were for anyone who heard them first. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Let that blessing settle over the room you're in right now. One line at a time. The Lord bless you. Not in some distant, someday way, but in the ordinary details of your life you don't always notice. The ones that are actually gifts. The bed under you tonight. The breath moving in and out without you having to think about it. The people who love you, even the ones you didn't get to talk to today. The Lord keep you through this night and into whatever tomorrow holds. Kept the way something valuable is kept, watched over, protected, held on to with care. Not because you earned it, simply because you are his. And that is enough. The Lord make his face shine upon you. Picture that for a moment. The way warmth settles over skin in early morning light. Gentle, unhurried, impossible to rush and impossible to earn. That's the kind of attention resting on you right now, whether you can feel it or not. And be gracious to you. Even in the places you feel least deserving of grace. Even in the moments today you wish you could take back. Grace was never about deserving. It was always simply about being given. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you, turning toward you, not away. Think of how someone's face changes when they see a person they delight in. How their whole expression softens and brightens. That's the look resting on you tonight. And give you peace. Not the kind that depends on every circumstance lining up perfectly. The kind that holds regardless. The kind we've been praying our way toward this entire time. Lord, thank you for this time together. Thank you for meeting us here, exactly as we were, tired, honest, ready to let go. Watch over this sleep the way you watched over the psalmists. Let it be deep. Let it be peaceful. And let whoever is listening wake up tomorrow lighter than they fell asleep tonight, carried all the way through by you. Rest here now, as long as you need. There's nowhere else you have to be. No thought you need to finish. No burden you need to pick back up before morning. Just this, breath after breath, you and stillness. Let your body settle a little deeper into wherever you're lying. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands rest open at your sides, palms soft, holding nothing. Let your breathing find its own slow rhythm, in and out, without you having to manage it. There is nothing left to do tonight except this, except being here, except letting the day finally end. If your mind drifts back to something from today, gently let it go, the way you'd set down something you no longer need to carry. It will still be there tomorrow if it needs your attention. Tonight, it doesn't. Tonight belongs to rest, and to Him. If this time brought you even a little peace, consider staying a while longer with Stillwater Grace. This channel exists for exactly this, quiet moments like this one, prayers that meet you wherever you are, whether you came here heavy or simply looking to feel a little closer to God before sleep. Subscribing helps this reach someone else who needs a moment like this too, and it means you'll have a new prayer waiting whenever you need one. And if tonight's psalms brought you some peace, there's more still ahead. This is the third in a series of prayers built entirely around the psalms, each one written to carry you gently into rest. If you haven't watched the first two, they're waiting for you. And there's another one still coming, because peace like this isn't meant to be found once. It's meant to become a rhythm, a place you return to, night after night, until it feels like home. For now, though, just rest. Let your eyes stay closed. Let your breathing stay slow. He is near, and He is not going anywhere. Good night.